Hey everyone, I'd like to apologize for the complete lack of content. I've been going through some pretty serious shit, which I will not be getting into. To cheer myself up, I decided to make this quick funny little video. Itch.io had an event recently known as Resist Jam, where groups of developers created quick games as a way to protest Donald Trump, basically. The site claims it's about resisting authoritarianism, but once you take a look at the subject matter of some of these creations, it's obviously about Trump. While I certainly do consider myself left-wing, I check this thing out not because of the political propaganda behind it, but because it's itch.io, and we all know that itch is a cesspool of low-quality amateur creations, and I sure could use a good laugh. The first creation that I checked out was Freedom Through a Lens. I was immediately greeted by the standard low-quality junk that this website is a home to. The game had ridiculously high mouse sensitivity, and when I attempted to adjust it through the options screen, the game then refused to start. Dialog boxes were present, but they were simply hovering over the main menu. Brilliant. It took about 10 tries for the game to finally work properly, and even then with lowered mouse sensitivity, I felt negative mouse acceleration, and the horizontal speed was way higher than vertical, resulting in a nauseating experience. Here you play as a photojournalist attending a freedom rally, whatever that is supposed to mean. The first character you meet basically tells you to act like an ethical journalist, to respect people's privacy, and only take pictures if you are given explicit permission. You then walk around and talk to like 6 people. The conversations are automatic and you don't really do anything. You ask their opinion about the protest, then ask if you can take their picture. They say yes, you take it, and that's it. The characters are pretty much your usual stereotypes. There's a young girl who's all about change, an old cynical dude who thinks half the people out here don't understand anything and are just here because it's cool, and your token black woman who is upset because she's a woman and she's black and her rights are being threatened or something. After you talk to everyone, your bumblefuck character drops and breaks his camera and hopes that the SD card is still intact. And that's it, that's the game. The entire experience is laughable and in your face. Hell, the law everyone is protesting is even called the anti-freedom law. That's really pushing it. The entire experience is around 10 minutes long. What a joke. The second game that I took a look at is called Castor Bridge. It's about 2 minutes long where you play as a mayor of Buttfuck, Virginia, and you have randomly generated laws that you have to either approve or deny. There isn't much to do aside from waiting for these laws to pop up. The goal is to get re-elected, where you get another 2 minutes of playtime until the next election phase comes up. To get re-elected, your town's government system has to match that of the citizens. You can click on individual cards to get that person's political expectations, but to get an actual balanced summary, you can click on a building that shows the town's expectations as a whole. Meeting these expectations is nigh on impossible, as just about all the laws that come to you are from the federal government, and they are all anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim, and anti-LGBT. Passing them pisses off everyone in your town, but the only other option you have is to sue the federal government, which costs money, and the Supreme Court will almost always side in their favor anyway. Out of my 5 attempted playthroughs, I always lost. This is probably the only game here that had any potential, but it is poorly balanced and extremely biased. Next up is Pivotal. You're packing to escape your apartment since the pigs are after you. The items that you take will result in the ending. Basically, you play inventory Tetris for 5 minutes. If you take weapons, then you and your significant other will join a revolutionary group. If you take personal possessions, then you and your significant other will flee and try to find a better life for themselves. Aside from the nice cyberpunk aesthetic, this has nothing going for it. Next up is The Cat and the Hijab, which is without a doubt the funniest game on here, unintentionally of course. Here you play as a Muslim cat on a subway train, and you encounter 3 different situations. The first is your standard Donald Trump voter that attacks you for being a terrorist just because you have a hijab and tells you to go back to your country despite you being an American citizen. These encounters have dialogue choices, but none of them really matter. The second encounter is someone who finds the hijab that you wear, find it oppressive to women, and then you have to sit there selecting some extremely cringeworthy dialogue justifying wearing one. The last encounter is someone attacking a cross-dressing cat that is sitting next to you. You can either intervene or just sit there quietly. Intervening is hysterical, as after you defend the cross-dresser, both your character and the cross-dresser shout out, "Pussy power." Yeah. Pussy power. I'm sure those were Rosa Luxemburg's last words before her execution. The last game I took a look at was Satyagara. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is another piece of laughably weak propaganda. This game is solely about resistance through non-violence, which I don't agree with at all. Hell, when the game first starts, it even gives you an option on how you want to protest the oppressive regime you live under. If you pick violent revolution, you die. You just die immediately. Later on, when you're introduced to the non-violent group, if you call them hippies, you leave them and you get killed immediately because you're outside and it's after curfew. Aside from these ugly storyboard screens, this game has one gameplay section where you walk around in a black and white environment trying to locate a member of this non-violent resistance group. You have to avoid guards who have no AI whatsoever while also following bird sounds. And then that's it. There are a lot more creations available in Resist Jam, but everything else is of even lower quality than these couple of games, if that is even possible. Overall, Resist Jam gave me a good laugh. Don't get me wrong, Donald Trump is an idiot, and the only thing he's good for is memes. But this Resist Jam doesn't appear to be nothing more than a bunch of liberals creating low-quality content for nothing more than their own personal satisfaction. I mean, if you're against something, you should provide a counterpoint instead of doing infantile attacks. All that these games have done really is attempt to portray Trump's America as the second coming of Hitler. No one is really going to enjoy these creations unless they are already part of this circle, so aside from self-satisfaction, this entire event was pointless. Anyway, that's the end of this video. For actual reviews and content, please stay tuned. Most of the problems that have been affecting me recently have been resolved, and future content should be uploaded on a more regular basis. Cheers.